G'day guys, so today we are talking about the cable crunch. Really good way to dive deep into those abdominal muscles. A lot of people are thinking along the lines of, well, I don't want those abdominal muscles to get too big because they will essentially look like I've got a big fat tummy. Now, this is where I'm going to argue the point in that you actually want to have some definition and you want to train these muscles just like you would any other particular muscle, because first of all, if they are bigger, if they are stronger, then your other lifts are going to be impacted on that in a positive way. So you're going to be able to brace harder for things like deadlifts, squats. You're going to be able to stabilize yourself a lot better for bench press, rows, and so all of a sudden, all these other lifts are going to get a great deal better. So you are going to fill out absolutely everywhere, not just through this midsection. On top of that, people want those six-pack abs. They want to look great. You've got to have some muscle to show off, so you have to build them up. Okay. Also, where people, or what our cable crunch does, it obviously mimics a normal crunch. Whenever we are doing a crunch, what we need to understand is that all the rectus abdominis which is the six-pack abs, all that functionality is the ability to do what they call trunk flexion, okay? And trunk flexion is this. Now, why do I bring that up? Because what happens a great deal of time with this particular exercise is people shift back and forth through their hips, and as a result of that, they don't get this trunk flexion motion happening. All they do is they rock back and forth like this, and they think that that's really nailing their abs when they could be doing a great deal more. So how do we want to set up for this particular exercise? Well, first things first is we're actually going to start with our hands up and behind our head. If you follow your neck muscles or your neck to where it connects to your head, I always find that there's a bit of a dimple part, and that's where I'm going to be placing my hands, and that's where they're going to stay. You'll see that it opens up my entire body and exposes these abs quite nicely. And if I was to do, say, an ab pose shot, I would have my hands up like this and crunching down. So it all just plays in together really nicely. So we're going to start in this. Now, what I am looking to do with my legs is actually push my hips forward. So I need to use a weight that is going to be both counterbalancing to begin with. However, we want to be controlling that weight with our midsection as soon as we start entering the reps. So we're going to set ourselves up. Now, a lot of people like to bring their knees in. You can actually take your knees out nice and wide, because our legs are all about being a stable base. Because remember, all we are trying to achieve in this position is hip flexion. Not hip flexion. We're trying to create flexion through our midsection, and we're not trying to rock back and forth. So this is just about creating a stable base. Now, I particularly like to go in close. However, I have done it this way as well. So, or knees out wider. It is up to you, and it's a personal preference. So, this position, I'm looking to shift my weight forward, not sit back like this, okay? So shift your weight forward, hands into position. You can see already that I want to go down, and we've got to use that weight as a counterbalance. Now, I'm going to take a big deep breath in, I'm going to brace, and then my elbows are going to drive down towards my hips, okay? So down, squeeze hard, up, and come up with the weight. Now you can see that this weight's probably not enough. We're going to be coming up, and you're going to control your negative portion and up and down like so. What we want to avoid with this exercise is rocking back. Now, I may or may not have been doing that just then. I couldn't quite feel it. But I don't think I was. Probably shows poorly on the camera. But what we are looking to avoid is that we want to come up and over and keep these legs up nice and tall. I'm kind of sitting back in my hips as it is. All right. What we want to avoid is this motion there, okay, where you're using your hips to counterweight, to really drive down, and you start to use your knees as a pivot point to drive back and down. Remember, we're trying to mimic this position here. Now, oddly enough, you could probably, if you really wanted to, perform the exercise up, nice and tall like so, okay? and crunch down like that. There's nothing wrong with you doing it that way either, okay? It's a very good alternative way to do a cable crunch, because remember, all we are trying to target is this particular section here. Don't forget, our principle still applies. So we want to create stability, okay? That stability is going to come through the hips, so we want a nice solid foundation. Number 2 is tension. We want to be controlling the eccentric portion, so the opening up, and we can come right out. So let's go right down. Let's get a good weight in, all right? So if I'm coming down like this, okay, and what I'm aiming to do, so you can see I set up a lot better with a little bit more weight. Okay, we're going to crunch in, and then we're going to come all the way up and thoracic extend. We're going to go a little bit of hyperextension to really stretch those abs out, and crunch back in. 1, 2, and 3, and really drive down with those elbows as if you're trying to take those elbows in and down to the base of your hips. Remember, try not to leverage back. We're just trying to drive down. You might get a little bit of movement back into the hips, but keep on top of that. If you find that you're swaying too much, then create a wider bridge, squeeze your glutes on, don't allow them to go back and forth. And that there, team, is how you want to go about doing your cable crunches. Remember, all we are doing is this, okay? We're aiming to feel it through abs. We're not looking to go all the way back with our hips and then all the way forward, because as you can see, or as you'll feel, it will not use our abs, it will use all sorts of other muscles. All right, team, so that there is how you want to go about doing your cable crunches.